Well, for the last decade or so, I have had the privilege of competing in different endurance events, everything from 5Ks all the way to an Ironman that I did a couple years ago. And I have really enjoyed it. It's been a great thing for me. And over that time, I've collected different pieces of swag from different races I've done. One of them right here is just an insulated coffee mug. And I actually won it here in town at a local 5K. I won a local turkey trot race, and so I keep it on my shelf just as a reminder of that race. Another one that I got is right here. It's from an off-road triathlon. It was as a half Ironman I did this summer. It almost took me 13 hours to finish. It was a hot day. It was a sweaty day, but it was an awesome day, and this brings up good memories for me. The other one here is actually the most recent. The pain is most recent in my mind from this race I did right here. It's the Hickson 50K. Hickson 50K takes place down in the southwestern part of Wisconsin by the city of La Crosse in and around the bluffs. It's a beautiful bluff country right on the Mississippi River. And my friend Nick and I had signed up for this race in January. We were going to do it together. It was going to be great. So we kind of trained throughout the winter and on into the spring and summer. And we showed up on October 28th, towing the line, ready to go. Well, there's a couple things that we didn't think about before we jumped into the race. Number one, we didn't really take into fact that this is the upper Midwest. It's the end of October. There could even be snow on the ground, and we found ourselves at 44 degrees, which isn't bad at all. But it had already been raining for a day, and it was lightly sprinkling. And here we are going to be running on muddy tracks, 15 and a half miles. A lot of that is single track muddy. And so after one lap of uphill and downhill, and I wiped out 3 times. The last one was like a big spread eagle, Superman kind of thing. I was just thankful I didn't break any bones or get any sticks in my eyes, but I came to the second lap, going to start another 15 and a half miles. I was tired. I was kind of humiliated that I was going so slow, but my body hurt, my back hurt, my calves were on fire. I'm like, how am I going to make it through this? I couldn't conceive of another 15 and a half miles. And the thing to me that was remarkable was the fact that this race almost embodies life in a certain way, where there's certain points that we're really excited, but a lot of it we're wondering, how in the world am I going to get through this thing? You know, I think of my own family. Both of my parents are in their early 60s, and when so many people are thinking about what cruises they're going to take, are they going to go to Alaska this year or Florida, and they're thinking about retirement. My mom contracted cirrhosis of the liver a few years ago because of her diabetes and has not been able to work for a number of years. She doesn't have a driver's license, and her and my dad are trying to figure this out. And what are we going to do? How is this stuff going to come together? Maybe you're one of those kind of people that are wondering, hey, you know what, I've been looking for that special someone for years, decades now, and I haven't met them, I haven't found them. Is there anybody really out there for me? Maybe some of you had high hopes and dreams that a business would materialize and that things would come together. Or maybe some of you are visiting your child in drug and alcohol treatment for the 13th time, and you're wondering, can't you ever get it right? Where do I go? What do I do? Why do I have any reason to get up tomorrow morning and face the future when chances are it's going to be really bleak? Well, you know what? That's a pretty common question over the course of history. And there are hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people that have dealt with that. And one of the people that has dealt with that in a remarkable way and had a similar sentence, so to speak, on his life was a man named Isaiah. Isaiah lived in the 8th century BCE. He was of the people of Judah, and he was called by God specifically, commissioned to be a prophet. A prophet is someone who is like a spokesperson for God. But instead of being told how great and wonderful his ministry would be, he was given some rather hard news. So let's pick up to Isaiah chapter 6. We're going to start here in verse 1 to kind of set the scene for us a little bit. So feel free to turn there in your Bibles, or if you have a smart device, Bible app, whatever. We're going to start in Isaiah chapter 6. It says, in the year that King Uzziah died. I want to stop there. One of the things that probably made it kind of tough for Isaiah was the fact that King Uzziah was an amazing king. He was the king of Judah. He reigned for a number of years in the 8th century. And King Uzziah was a good king in terms of making sure that the country was secure militarily. The people of Judah were secure. In and around a day and age where there were kingdoms that were looking to invade and foreign countries, he kept his people safe. And not only that, but he provided them with a fair amount of financial security as well. Well, he died. And it was not just that they lost their leader, and it's not just that they lost a good leader, but the king of Judah, the king of the people of God, was supposed to represent God to the people. And so would they get a good king? Would they get a godly king? A king that feared the Lord? Because if they didn't, they might not have God's blessing. What would they do? And so this is the message that God gives Isaiah in light of the death of King Uzziah, and telling him about the message that he's going to give him and what's going to happen. He says this, well, God, what's my message? What's my ministry like? What am I supposed to say to these people? He says this. He says, go and tell the people that they will be ever hearing, but never understanding, that they will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. Make the heart of this people calloused and make their ears dull. And close their eyes, otherwise they might hear with their eyes, they might see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their hearts and be healed. I've been a pastor for 15 years now, and I can't imagine that at the beginning of that 15 years of ministry, God said, Justin, let me tell you what your ministry is going to be about. Yeah, I know you want to help people and you want people to come to know me, but they won't. They won't hear the message. They won't hear and they won't listen. They won't turn to me. They won't understand. I can't imagine what that was like for Isaiah to be told that right off the bat. And so Isaiah goes, is this it? I mean, how long is this going to happen? How long is this going to go on? And God says this to him. He says, until their cities lie in ruin and without inhabitant, until the houses are left deserted and the fields ruined and ravaged, until the Lord has sent everyone far away and the land is utterly forsaken. So they won't listen to me until they lose everything they have, until their homes are destroyed, until their fields are burned. And eventually history teaches us that the people of Judah were taken away into a foreign land by foreign invaders. This is his people he's talking about. This isn't some theoretical thing. And so Isaiah stands at the cusp of this, wondering, how am I going to do it? And the question for each of us is, how are we going to do it? I believe Isaiah gives a really key and a really important understanding. Because Isaiah wasn't doing this apart from any experience of God. Isaiah had met God. Hear this. We skipped over some verses, and we're gonna check this out here. Isaiah 6, chapter 1, he says, I saw the Lord, seated on the throne, high and exalted, and the train of his robe filled the temple with glory. And he was in the presence of these heavenly angelic beasts that were serving God. And it says this, these seraphs, as they're called, they were calling to one another, holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. And their sounds of praise in God's presence were so loud that it shook the thresholds and the doorposts of the temple. Isaiah had encountered God, friends. How do we look at a life as we look ahead and there seems to be no resolution? How do we make it through? We encounter God. And my question is to you, have you encountered God? Because Isaiah is brought into the very presence of God. He sees God for who he is. God's beauty, God's holiness, God's perfection. And all Isaiah can do is look at himself and say, God, forgive me. I'm here in your presence and I am sinful and needy. And God in his mercy forgives his sin and makes him ready for this ministry of being a prophet for him. And so my question for you, friends, is, have you encountered God? Are you encountering God on a regular basis? Because this is the deal. Life's going to wear you down, and it's going to wear you down really fast. And if we do not have the eternal and heavenly perspective of encountering God in his word, taking silent moments to listen for his voice in prayer, to talk to him. This is what we mean when we talk about having a relationship with God, of getting to know him. And there's other vital aspects of it too. But I'm asking you, have you encountered God? And for those of us here that say, I'm not really the religious type, my question is how's that working out for you? How's that working out for you? Because I know that you were encountering times in your life where you want, I can't do this. And that's right, you cannot do this. And so today, my friend, God is extending his hand to you. He's not only looking to forgive your sin, but he's looking to empower you and to walk with you and to direct you and lead you. So that as we come to these hopeless moments in life, we can say, you know what, I don't know how this is all going to pan out, but I know God, and I know he is faithful. And so what would that look like, church, if you and I and we were captured by the very presence of God, meeting with God every day? What would that look like as we woke up in the morning in our bed and we said, God, you know what? I know my life looks like a dumpster fire. I ain't got no money in the bank. My body is falling apart. I got kids that are crazy. I'm going to a job that I don't like. I'm living in this community that's what? But God, I don't care because I know you. Here I am. Here I am. send me. What would that look like, friends? As we wrap things up this morning, can we just take a moment of silence and pray and ask God, what would that look like? Here I am. Send me.